The truth about my eating disorder. For years, my biggest goal was to be underweight, to be the sickest one in every room. For years, empty meant strong and full meant weak. When I was 16 and stopped eating, I thought it was because I just wanted to be thin. But now at 23, I finally understand. I stopped eating because I wanted to stop feeling. I've never been very good at feeling. Sometimes being numb feels necessary. Sometimes you teach yourself to control what you can. For me, it was the numbers. The number of calories I ate in a day. The number on the scale. I loved to see them get lower and lower. It made me feel powerful. But it somehow also made me sad. The kind of sadness that you don't really notice at first. You just slowly stop feeling the good and the bad. You just feel flat. And flat is easy. Flat doesn't hurt. It just is. You just are. Only you're not really existing anymore. You're only half existing, like a ghost. Days stretch on longer for you than they do for everybody else because you're always thinking about when you're allowed to eat again. It's hard to fall asleep when you're hungry. At night, you dream of being at restaurants and drizzling syrup on your pancakes. Somewhere along the way, you really start to believe that food is bad. It becomes your inner mantra. You really believe that you don't deserve food like everybody else, that you don't deserve a lot of things like happiness and love. When I'm thin, I'll be happy, you say. Everybody will care about me when I'm thin. People will notice when I'm sick. They'll notice that I matter. But you keep going and nobody notices like you thought they would. And when they do, it's not enough. So you keep shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until your arms get so small that your dad pinches them as you walk by. He says you're getting too thin, but you don't believe him. Your mom says your fingers are getting bony, but you don't believe her either. They say you're disappearing, that you need to eat more. You start to wonder if they're crazy or if you are, because when you look in the mirror, all you see is fat. All you ever see is a person who is too fat, too normal-sized, too healthy. Eventually you realize you're the crazy one. It always happens. Only letting yourself eat a few hundred calories a day makes you feel crazy. Forcing yourself to throw up when you accidentally eat too much makes you feel crazy. You can be living in hell and not realize it. You can go crazy and not realize it. For years, I starved and I got thin. Then I ate and gained weight over and over and over again. And nobody knew how much I was suffering or how close I really was to death. I don't know why I got stuck with an eating disorder. I don't know why I can't just walk into a restaurant and order whatever I want without a second thought. I don't know why I can't just look in the mirror and see a person, a human, a body. I don't know why I feel the need to get smaller and smaller, or why I'm so afraid to take up space. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if I just let myself grow, gave myself permission to be without limits, to actually exist, to live. Hey guys, Shawnee here. You may be new to my channel or you might have been around for a while. I have a series on my channel called Eating Disorder Confessions, and I haven't uploaded a video on the topic of eating disorders or talking about my eating disorder in quite a while. And there are a few different reasons for that. I didn't know if I was gonna make any more videos on this topic. I know this is a really sensitive subject. It can be triggering to people. You know, videos on this topic can be unhelpful if they're done the wrong way or with the wrong intention. Anorexia and eating disorders of every kind are so serious and so dangerous, and it's literally a life-threatening illness. Many people struggle with it their whole life. It becomes chronic for so many people. I'm starting to cry. I don't actually want to cry in this very public place, but it became chronic for me, and it's just so serious. So my intention would, when talking about this topic, would never be to like inspire somebody to like develop eating disorder habits or anything like that. So what you just heard and saw was kind of like a journal entry that I wrote when I was 23. I'm 27 now, so not that long ago. I wrote it 4 years ago. I was definitely in a bit of a different place. When I wrote that, basically I was just beginning to understand the psychological reasons behind why I developed my specific eating disorder, which was a restrictive eating disorder, and also I had other habits as well. And so I kind of like was starting to understand that it wasn't necessarily just about wanting to look thin and look a certain way. For me, my restricting calories and the purging, I'll just say it, was about control for me. It was about regulating my emotions, regulating difficult emotions that I would find myself in. I first started using like eating disorder habits when I was 16, and during that time my family was going through a very, very difficult and kind of traumatic situation, and a lot of different aspects of my life felt out of control, and I didn't feel like I had control of a lot of things that were happening to me. And that is when I first started thinking, oh, I want to lose weight, oh, I want to look this certain way. But like looking back in hindsight, I can see that it wasn't just about that, if even about that at all. Yeah, maybe a part of me wanted to lose a little bit of weight and look a certain way, but if I look deeper than that, it was really about me not wanting to feel these really, really painful emotions I was feeling. I was struggling with depression because of the traumatic situation I was going through with my family. I was feeling really sad. I was feeling really out of control with these different aspects of my life, and those are all like difficult emotions to handle and to grapple with, especially as a 16-year-old teenager. So my eating disorder habits that I developed were a coping mechanism for my life and for what I was going through. And as I used my eating disorder habits, I realized that they were kind of a distraction from everything going on, and they were a distraction from my emotions, and they were a way to kind of not feel those difficult things that I was feeling. For example, like when I would restrict calories, I would feel hungry all the time, and I would constantly have that feeling of feeling hungry physically, and then like mentally craving food, and just constantly being preoccupied with food and everything about food. But even just like having a feeling of physical hunger, that was a distraction from the pain I was feeling inside. When you have a restrictive eating disorder, you like the feelings of being hungry, you like the feelings of not feeling full, feeling empty, feeling like you haven't eaten enough. You like all of those physical feelings. It's like really messed up psychologically, like to even think like that, right? But that's just like how it is when you have a restrictive eating disorder. And so it didn't really bother me too much to feel hungry. It's just like I liked that I was in control of that. I couldn't control a lot that was happening, but I could control what was going into my body and what was coming out of it. It's not funny, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that was kind of like the beginning of me starting to understand why I developed an eating disorder. I guess I'll talk a little bit about how I'm doing now. So a while ago I made a video, I think it was called like my hospital experience or something. And basically in that video I talk about how in 2018 I had a major surgery and a major health scare and just really stressful and scary situation that I went through, where I had a few surgeries and I was in and out of the hospital, but mostly in for like about 2 months. And during that situation I had an eating disorder relapse where I basically started using my habits again to cope with that situation. And by that point, I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew that I was doing it to cope with the situation. I was going through a really scary thing. I was feeling really sad, really upset emotionally. And one night when I was like in the hospital, because I was an inpatient for a while because of my surgery, I decided that I was going to use one of my eating disorder habits to cope with the difficult emotions I was feeling, and I wanted to do it to feel better. This started a relapse for me because when I got out of the hospital, I continued using the eating disorder habits that I kind of stopped using for a while. It had always been like that for me though. I would always have good periods and bad periods and good periods and bad periods. But anyway, going into 2019, there was a point where I decided I was going to stop purging. It wasn't because psychologically I wanted to stop. I wanted to continue, and I probably never would have stopped if it wasn't for this. But if you don't know this, purging is really, really, really bad for your teeth and your dental health. And because I have done that so much over the years, purging, it really messed up my dental health and my teeth, and I've just had so many problems. I've had to have so many root canals over the years because of it. And at one point in 2019, I just kind of decided, like, I have to stop this because I was tired of the teeth like pain and the problems I was having there, and because I knew I was getting like some new like teeth work done, and I didn't want to mess it up by continuing to, So I decided I was going to stop one day for that reason. That was the only reason. It wasn't because I wanted to. It wasn't because I wanted to do the healthy thing. It was simply because I was tired of the pain I was feeling, like dental-wise. So I stopped. And it was really, really hard. That being the reason and not wanting to feel that pain there was enough for me to actually stop. It was hard, but I stopped. So I don't know exactly how long it's been. I know it's been over a year. I wish I wrote down the exact date I stopped because it would be kind of cool to know. I don't know how long it's been, but I know that it's been over a year since I have purged and used that habit. There have been a few distinct times when I've really wanted to. It was always when I was having a really rough moment emotionally, or experiencing something really sad, or was suddenly faced with these really difficult emotions. It's always in those moments where I have the really, really strong urge and desire to make myself throw up, because that was always what I would do to regulate those emotions and to regain a sense of control over whatever was going on. It was a false sense of control, but it kind of, I rationalized in my head that it was enough and that it was actually making me feel better. So there have been a few distinct times when I've wanted to do it. But I haven't done it. And as the time went on, it's gotten easier to not give in to those urges as the time's gone on. And I don't plan on doing it again if I can help it. When it comes to restricting, that's been a more recent, I guess I can say during the pandemic. When the pandemic first started, I kind of eased out of my restrictive habits, and it wasn't an active choice. It just kind of happened, and I just kind of didn't stop it from happening. I kind of started eating more and more normally, slowly more and more normally, or like sort of normally, still not super normal, but it wasn't as restrictive as it was. And so I just kind of slowly eased out of that naturally, I guess, and I haven't really looked back. So I haven't had like this like recovery moment, or like this like purposeful like I'm gonna stop doing this and I'm gonna get better. I've never had that moment. I've had it once a few years ago, but that didn't work. I haven't had this time around like a moment that was like, I'm gonna get better, I want to get better. And still in the back of my head, I struggle with the same things. The thoughts are just quieter now, and it's all just quieter now, the thoughts and the urges. When it comes to the negative feelings and thoughts about food and self-image and wanting to use my eating disorder habits and all of that, all those thoughts are still there subtly, but they're a lot quieter. And wanting to recover from an eating disorder is really, really just hard. Because of the way the illness works with you psychologically, it's just like, it kind of twists you into believing all these really, really messed up things about food and about yourself. And so wanting to recover is really hard, and I've never really wanted to. But I would say that I'm not really using my habits right now, which is something. So that's where I'm at. And then a few months ago, I got into a relationship, and the girl I'm dating, she has her own history with food, but for the most part, she's very food positive. She's literally a chef. She's very food positive. And I think that's been really, really helpful for my mental health, to date someone who is so food positive and who loves to eat and who loves the process of just like eating good food and making good food and tasting good food. Someone who really appreciates it and the beauty of it. Dating someone like that has been really helpful for my mental health. I just want to say a reminder, how much you're struggling with food or with your eating disorder or your disordered eating habits, it has nothing to do with the way you look or how much you weigh. So you can look at someone, you can look at me, you can look at yourself, you can look at anyone and say, oh, they look normal, or they look underweight, or they look overweight, or they look however, and you can make assumptions about them. But that's really not a good thing to do, because you can be struggling so much with an eating disorder and you can look so normal, or you can be totally healthy mentally and physically and you can look quote unquote overweight or quote unquote underweight. So please don't make assumptions about me or anyone else. Please don't comment things like, I'm glad you're doing so well, I'm glad you're recovered. Those types of comments will be the opposite of helpful for me. Probably gonna make a whole different video on things that are triggering for me and like things that I've been doing to try and prevent a major eating disorder relapse for myself. But please don't comment anything like, oh, I'm glad you're doing so well, or you look so healthy. Comments on like someone looking healthy who struggles with an eating disorder are actually the opposite of helpful. It can be extremely triggering to hear that you look healthy or that you look fine if you struggle with this. Just putting that out there, not just for my sake, but literally for anyone. People think that kind of thing is healthy or helpful, and it's not. I feel like this video has gotten really long. Thank you guys for watching. A video I made, oh, there's a helicopter. I'm in downtown LA right now, you guys. Currently at Grand Park. I think that's like City Hall. No, that's not City Hall, but that's something back there. I thought this would be a cool place to film a video. I was already here leaving a videography gig, and I had all my equipment with me, so I figured, you know what? Why don't I just film a YouTube video before going home? So I just want to end this by saying, if you are struggling with your relationship with food, body image, body dysmorphia, disordered eating habits, restricting calories, purging, anything like that, please reach out to someone. There is an eating disorder hotline. I'm going to link a few resources below, websites you can check out and numbers you can call. You deserve help. You deserve food. Your body deserves nutrients. Calories are good for you. Fat is good for you. You deserve it all. You deserve to just like live your life and not be preoccupied with food. So just wanted to end this video by saying that. Thank you guys for watching. I think it's kind of interesting how my video called, oh, the shadows are coming. Okay, hold on, let's fix that. I think it's kind of interesting how my video called Things You Can't Do with Anorexia has gotten kind of a lot of views for my channel, for my little channel. I think that's interesting. People are still watching that one. People are still commenting. I'm glad that it's resonated with so many people. I made that years ago. I feel like I look at that and I'm like, oh, she's so young, and it's like a completely different person. I wasn't a completely different person, but you know what I mean. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you again soon. Make sure you're subscribed because I make all sorts of content. Give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Comment down below. Don't forget to say hi in the comments. And there is now music playing, like there's a live band or something back there. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.